If you're doing Google Ads for an e-commerce business in 2026, almost everything you knew about how to run Google Ads has changed. The old playbook is officially dead. Tactics that used to be considered best practice will now actively lose you money, and tactics that we used to avoid like the plague are suddenly some of the best things you can actually do in your account. I've been running my Google Ads agency Big Flare for over 13 years now, and in that time my team and I have generated more than $150 million in e-commerce revenue for our clients on Google Ads. And I can tell you, the way we run accounts now in 2026 looks nothing like the way we ran them even 2 years ago. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 8 new rules of Google Ads for e-commerce in 2026. These are the rules that are working in our agency right now on accounts spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. I'll show you the one campaign type that's quietly gone from avoid at all costs to absolutely essential. I'll reveal the one bidding approach that, if you're still doing it manually, is bleeding money out of your account every single day. And I'll show you which campaign type that used to be the most reliable thing in your account is now basically dead in 2026. All right, with that said, let's dive in, starting with rule number 1. Rule number 1, and this is going to surprise a lot of you, broad match is good now. I know, if you've been running Google Ads for any length of time, you'll have been told for years to avoid broad match like the plague. And the reason was simple. Broad match used to be so loose, so wide, that it would match your ads to all kinds of irrelevant junk searches. You end up burning through your budget on terms that had nothing to do with your product. But things have genuinely changed here. Google's algorithm has had massive AI improvements over the last couple of years. It now understands user intent way better than it used to. It pulls in audience data, it uses your keywords as guidance rather than rigid matches, and it makes much smarter decisions about who actually sees your ad. So in 2026, broad match is genuinely good. In my agency, we are running broad match in pretty much every client account now, and it's working. It often finds search terms that you would never have thought to bid on that end up converting beautifully. And it can profitably scale your volume in a way that exact match and phrase match just can't manage. But here's the critical caveat. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot run broad match on manual CPC. It'll be an absolute disaster. You must use smart bidding with broad match. And for e-commerce, that basically means target ROAS or maximize conversion value if you're just getting started. Pair broad match with smart bidding, and you've got one of the most powerful combinations in the Google Ads platform right now. Which leads me directly into rule number 2. You have to be using smart bidding these days. This isn't really a should do anymore. It's a must. Now look, I get why some old school advertisers still cling to manual CPC. Years ago, manual CPC actually was loads better. You had precision, you had control, and Google's automation was honestly pretty rubbish a few years ago. You could outperform the algorithm just by being a careful, attentive human being. But those days are well and truly gone. In 2026, anyone manually piloting their CPC bids instead of using target ROAS or target CPA is wasting money. Full stop. The smart bidding algorithms now process signals you literally cannot see as a human. Things like their browsing history, their previous purchases, what they searched for last week, what they watch on YouTube, and a whole lot more. You just cannot compete with that manually. And this isn't just about search campaigns. Smart bidding is required across every campaign type now. Performance max, demand gen, search, shopping, all of it. You should know how it works. You should know your conversion thresholds, and you should be considering those conversion thresholds when you're creating your campaign structure. And basically, you should be using smart bidding everywhere. All right, rule number 3. AI is changing the game, and I don't just mean smart bidding. I mean the entire way people are using search engines is changing because of AI. Google now has AI mode and AI overviews built into these search results. Both of those have ads inside of them, so you want to make sure your ads are showing up well in those AI-powered surfaces because that's where a huge chunk of high-intent search traffic is going these days. And beyond Google itself, people are searching differently. They're typing longer, more detailed queries. They're asking full questions instead of typing 2 or 3 keywords. And that means the long tail of search is filling up with much bigger, much more specific queries. Which, by the way, is yet another reason broad match works so well these days. Exact match keywords cannot capture all those new, long, conversational queries. Broad match plus smart bidding can. So the takeaway here is simple. The platform you're advertising on is becoming an AI platform. The best advertisers in 2026 are the ones who lean into that, not fight against it. Rule number 4, conversion data is more important than it ever has been before. Now, having clean, accurate conversion tracking has always mattered, but in 2026, it's gone from important to absolutely critical. And here's why. Now, we just established that you have to use smart bidding. Smart bidding is AI, and for AI to do its job well, it needs a high quality signal telling it when it has done the job right and when it hasn't. And that signal is your conversion data. If your conversions are tracking incorrectly, or if you don't have enough of them, the AI is flying blind. It will spend your money in the wrong places. It will optimize towards the wrong outcomes, and your ROAS will tank. So you need 2 things. You need accurate conversion tracking, ideally with enhanced conversions and the Google Ads tag set up properly. You also want to make sure you've set up server-side tracking to improve the quality of your data and the number of conversions tracked. And you need volume. A good benchmark is at least 30 to 50 conversions per month per campaign before you can really trust the data. The more conversion data you feed in, the better trained your smart bidding becomes. The better trained your smart bidding becomes, the more profitable your account gets. So it is now the single biggest lever you have in your account. Rule number 5, consolidation is king. And again, this follows on naturally from the previous points. This one is a complete reversal from how we used to do things. The old school approach was highly granular, single keyword ad groups, hundreds of campaigns, tightly themed ad groups for every keyword variation. I used to set up accounts that way myself. It made sense at the time because the algorithm was dumb and you needed to control every variable manually. Well, nowadays that approach is dead. These days, the fewer campaigns and ad groups you have, the better. And here's why. Because of rule number 4, conversion data is everything. When you split your account into 50 campaigns, your conversion data is split into 50 tiny little puddles, none of which are big enough to then train the AI properly within the campaign. But when you consolidate everything down into a small number of consolidated campaigns, all that conversion data pools together. The AI gets a much stronger signal. It learns faster and it optimizes better, and it makes way more money for you. So in my agency, Big Flare, we're running e-commerce accounts on sometimes as few as 3 to 5 campaigns in total. Sometimes just one Performance Max campaign plus a couple of search campaigns. That's it. Fewer campaigns, fewer ad groups, more consolidation. Trust the AI, give it room to breathe, and feed it as much data as possible. Hey guys, before we get to rule number 6, I want to mention something that might be useful to you. If you've been watching this and thinking, I know my account isn't set up for the new rules, but honestly I don't have the time or the headspace to fix it myself. Well, if that's what you're thinking, my agency Big Flare can run your Google Ads for you. We run Google Ads for e-commerce stores, and everything I'm walking through today in this video is exactly how we run accounts internally for our clients right now. We'll restructure your account around the new rules, set up your smart bidding properly, get your conversion data cleaned up and accurate, optimize your product feed, all of it. If you want to find out whether we'd be a good fit for your store, you can book a free strategy session with me personally. There's no obligation and no hard sell. We'll just look at your account and I'll tell you honestly what I think. Link is in the description below. All right, let's get back to the meat and potatoes. Rule number 6, and this one is huge. Your product feed is more than just shopping ads now. For years, advertisers thought of the product feed as the thing that powers shopping campaigns. You'd upload it to Merchant Center, it would feed shopping, and that was about it. Well, in 2026, that mental model is completely out of date. In Google's own language, product feeds are no longer just shopping ad drivers. They are the foundational source of truth for AI-powered omni-channel marketing. Translation: your product feed now powers ads across pretty much every Google AI surface. It powers your Performance Max campaigns, it powers ads inside Google's AI mode and AI overviews, it powers product ads on YouTube and connected TV, and it has deep integration with demand gen campaigns. There are just so many more places now where your product feed determines whether your ads work or don't, which means a poorly optimized product feed isn't just hurting your shopping campaigns anymore, it's hurting your entire account. So you need to treat your product feed like the strategic asset that it really is now. And that means strong, keyword-rich product titles, high-quality product images, accurate product types and categories, GTINs filled out correctly, custom labels for segmentation, and good descriptions that match how customers actually search. If you've never thought of your product feed as a top priority, you need to change that right now. In 2026, your product feed is your account. Rule number 7, demand gen actually works now. When demand gen first launched, my honest take was, it's okay. It was fine for some accounts, but it wasn't reliably profitable, and most of my clients were getting better results elsewhere. Well, that has completely changed in the last 12 months. Demand gen is now genuinely working as a top-of-funnel and/or mid-funnel ad type for e-commerce. Assuming your product is suitable for top-of-funnel advertising, and not everyone's product actually is, but assuming that yours is, and assuming your landing pages are decent, demand gen can absolutely work wonders. We're seeing some of the best top-of-funnel performance we've ever seen on Google through demand gen right now. Specifically, focusing on YouTube videos within demand gen. That's where the magic is happening. We're getting meta-level performance on demand gen with YouTube ads these days, and that literally was not possible 2 or 3 years ago. Google did not have a real top-of-funnel option that could compete with Facebook and Instagram for e-commerce, but now they do. So if you've been running purely bottom-of-funnel campaigns on search and shopping and retargeting, and you've hit a ceiling, demand gen is probably the unlock you've been looking for. It's the option that opens up real scalability in Google. And finally, rule number 8. Google Display Network retargeting is basically dead. This is something I've noticed in our agency and chatting with other industry colleagues. They're all seeing the exact same thing. If you launch a Google Display Network retargeting campaign in 2026, it often just struggles these days. The ROAS is often low, the volume is often low, and it often barely moves the needle, which is wild because Google Display Network retargeting used to be one of the most reliable high ROAS plays in the entire account. You used to be able to launch a GDN remarketing campaign and instantly get double or triple the ROAS of your cold traffic. Well, not anymore. So what do you do instead? Well, I've got 2 options for you. Option 1, you let Performance Max handle retargeting for you. Add plenty of images and videos to your asset groups, and PMax will retarget your existing visitors using those creatives across all of Google's surfaces. Option 2, set up retargeting inside a demand gen campaign instead. Demand gen has much stronger retargeting performance than the old GDN now, and you get better placements like Google Discover. But running a standalone Google Display Network retargeting campaign as its own thing these days, don't bother. It's a relic of the old playbook. Now, if you want to take this further, I've got a video that goes deep on the best Performance Max campaign structure for e-commerce in 2026. It pairs perfectly with everything we just covered, especially rule number 5 on consolidation. I'll link it for you right up here. In that video, I walk you through the exact PMax structures we use in my agency right now and when to use each one. I also give you the pros and cons of each approach. If you're rethinking your account structure based on what you've just heard, this is the next one to watch. All right, see you guys in the next one.